How about the
viewership?
Is the viewership, right? So I'm going to give people the info here. This is where people need the actual numbers. First of all, in the split itself, before they went cross-region, peak viewership was 149,000. And average viewers was 88,000 a game. Now, if you want to know how mental that is, there were some games in fucking Katowice in Counter-Strike when a female team played like the 13th best team that were getting 400,000 views. That would be like 2 to 3 times the LTA North with all those $1 million players, big names, blah, blah. And then when you go cross-regional, understandably, it got boosted. It's still not that much, Yamato. Peak viewership, 291,000. Average viewers, 162,000. Now, Monty said on his tweet that if you go from last year in summer, they were at a peak of 233, and then in the LTA, they went to around 90. That's a 61% decrease in the regular split. Like, that is insane. Essentially, you just bled 2/3 of your viewers almost completely out the door. And then you got some more viewers for the cross region, but I'm going to guess some of that was like South American people watching. By the way, I'll just put this out there. That doesn't help a North American brand, unfortunately. Like, that viewer from Brazil isn't buying whatever the sponsor is of like the team who's in the top. They're in LA. Like, just that's not how. And also, that's not how marketing budgets work. You care about the people within your region doing it. Like, even if they had that product in that shop in Brazil, it doesn't actually, unfortunately, help your regional marketing person who did the deal with you that they buy it in Brazil. That actually helps the Brazilian guy who didn't do anything. He's like, what the? Why we've got a spike on this shit? Okay, well, fair enough. I didn't know the LTA North were here. So it's looking really, really bad. Like, Monty even said the LTA playoffs, based on that, had a majority non-English viewership. But it's supposed to be this was originally the North American League, guys. Like, in fact, as I pointed out in past episodes, at the origin of League of Legends, when me and you were around, Europe was almost like an ERL compared to, even though the teams were better, compared to the LCS. It's why it wasn't just millions of dollars. People also, by the way, Bjergsen wanted to go to TSM, not just for millions. He also wanted to be a superstar. He wanted to be one of the biggest names. And by the way, it worked. People like the only person in Europe I think ever came close. Even if you don't get this, guys, in Europe, even Caps hasn't really gotten close to the like worldwide fame Bjergsen had, and he won MSI. The only person who came close in Europe is Reckless. He became his own brand that had Gucci, and as you saw in that stat from last year, Wikipedia was the second most searched player after Faker. And by the way, the other players below Reckless were the actual other real winning players of T1 who just won Worlds. So to get that kind of fame, the idea of the LCS could be basically like the LCS is like NA Masters to me now. Like, what is this? This is fucking bonkers, bro. Like, everything's just bled out. What do you think of this?
It's just so crazy to me that it just seems like every decision that has been made is to like slowly kill it. It like reminds me of this Office episode where they're launching this store and this dumbass fucking triangle, and then at the final meeting when they want to like, they're just gonna axe the whole project because the CEO is basically just played along to appease the owners. And at the end, the whole plan was to just let it play out and then axe it. And that's how it feels that they're treating the NALCS. It's like, as a viewer, why would I ever commit into investing time into something that is so chaotic and so sporadic in terms of, there's no consistency at all in which teams are there, in terms of what the schedule is. It's like looking back already when they put it on weekdays. It's like, like to try to sell us a piece of crap, you know, in the shape, you know, just because they sprinkle some fucking gold on it. Like, I'm not gonna fucking eat it. It was so obvious that they're thinking, oh, our Valorant viewership is more important than the sharing studio, and the dishonesty in that was just so blatant. And as a continuation, it's like now this week, bro, like they had the LTA playing during the Super Bowl. Like, what is going on there, man? They was playing during the Super Bowl. This finals was during the LEC in terms of how they structured time. And time again now, the format is always changing. You have a team that is a guest team that wants to leave. Like, they are showing every signal. It's like, we are out, bro. Fuck this shit. This is terrible. And they are performing and they are competing. Like, if I'm watching a TV show, right? It's like there's this. I think the show that is so famous called Firefly. Like, everyone says this show is so damn insane, but I don't want to watch that shit because I know it was fucking canceled very quickly. Like, why would I get invested into something knowing it's going to end terribly? It's the same way Game of Thrones right now. It's like I have a hard time rewatching it, even though the first season I love it. I know it's going to end in shit. Yeah, I don't want to invest time into something because There's nothing to be invested into. The format changes, the players change, the tournament structure changes. What am I getting invested to? And on the same side, on the LTA South side, the things that the fans were invested to, like invested in, the storylines about the players competing against each other, teams competing against each other, they took it out the back and shot it in the head. So what are you left with? Just a shell, just a number that you're hoping that you can squeeze out, because where do you go from here? Where do you go from here? No one seems to be interested enough to be partnered in the league. There's no 8 solid teams that want to like make something. There's like, yeah, three actors there that are happy to be there, and everyone else is just fucking stressed. It's like, I wish I didn't have a team and I could sell this spot for profit somehow, but that's just not possible. So I don't know where we go from here. I really, really don't know where we go from here.
Well, here's the thing. I will now play the role of Monty, if anyone knows some of the insight, because people have suggested that. So all the people make the suggestion. And the problem is, it's going to sound really crazy, and everyone automatically is against it, Yamato. The idea is do a Super League. And now, the problem is, if you know the response to the Football Super League, fans lose their minds because they're like fans of a local team, or they're just not fans of like Man City or whatever, or they know that it would like, it's true, it would like kill all the viewership of the other leagues, but it would make one super insane league where everyone spends billions every year and you get insane viewership. And the idea is, because your league would be like Real Madrid against Man City, against Liverpool, against fucking Juventus, against this, it would be like the UCL on steroids, mate. Like you could actually have like the craziest football viewership. You could get like 1 billion viewers for a game, or something like World Cup style or something, right? Essentially, the premise you could do goes like this. You either just make like the top teams, like let's be real, some of the teams that are in LTA aren't real teams, mate. They're just there because you have to have 8 teams. You can't have like 3 teams in the fucking league. But there already are only 3 to 4 like really important franchises in the league that have real brands that extend past. You take those teams and you either add them to LEC, they just fly over, get lower living costs, all this. By the way, in theory, if you do it right there, that can still work for your sponsors as long as American viewers watch the tournament. Like in Counter-Strike, you can go to all the tournaments and not be an American. You can still have sponsorship for Team Liquid, etc. But the other angle you could also do is you could, in theory, also move them to the East Coast, and then they just make like a brief flight over for like a finals or something. You could do cross-region play again or whatever. But like that's like a potential answer, because anyone thinking, but how would that work for LEC? Listen, LEC, like LCS, has had rules they refuse to employ. Rogue at this point in time can actually, by the rules, be kicked out of the LEC. That's actually a real thing. There's like 3 splits to 10th place or whatever. You can boot them out. You can force them to sell. Listen, Monty would tell you right now, they can force you to sell, mate. You don't have to be the one where it's like, I don't want to. It doesn't matter. Like, it's their party. They kick you out if they want to. So you can kick them out. Listen, I would never go for this because I know they've run the org very well, actually, in terms of money. But SK Gaming's never been a champion. They've been miles and miles off doing that. They're a team you could potentially kick out, pick a different one. If you want to downsize the league and bring the LCS, like put it this way, even though people who are fans won't get this, if you were in the LEC, there's way more value having like Team Liquid and Cloud9 join than there is having fucking SK and Rogue. As in even to the other teams in the LEC, like it would make the whole league more valuable. So it's a pipe dream. I don't think Riot will even consider this. I don't think it's even on the table. I don't think it's even in their minds. Also, it would be the ultimate like stain on their own shit, because if you have to leave your own continent after fucking up like the easiest home field advantage of all time with the LCS in the early days, I mean, that at that point, just shut down League of Legends, mate. Like, or just let it be an open circuit that everyone else controls the product of, because you fucked it. You made every mistake that was wrong. Monty even said, actually, if you look at the results of the last few years, it shows that it wasn't Riot making great decisions that made the LCS huge. It was like superstar names. It was massive fan bases. It was like intrigue that isn't there anymore. And actually, when they're just left to their own devices in like a normal esport, they can fuck it up. They can halve their own viewership. They can sort of paint themselves into a corner where I'm with you. I don't know how it comes back as like an NA-esque project at all, mate. I don't know how you'd reverse course. What do you think if you did a Super League? Would it be too crazy for you?
My concern would be, it's like when that slowly withers, then it's over, you know? But maybe that's just what it is. Because I do think it's like, even though I'm a person on a competitive standpoint, I would want to have more international competition, and I want to see matchups that we never get to see. The rarity of it all really creates for like a spectacle. It's like there's a reason why the World Championship is always the most viewed. It's because it is a spectacle. They also invest the most money into making it into a spectacle, and making every moment as powerful as that. When you get to see certain matchups a little bit too often, I do think it kind of wears down on the potential spark of it all, because there's always like certain records are broken when you get to see that matchup. So, for example, now we had like the Koi versus KC matchup with Jisoo Fnatic. It's like everything just kind of marinated just right to create that moment. It's like a lot of things had to be put into place. If you force that moment, I don't feel like it has the same level of spectacle. It's the same if you have like the regional leagues and you have La Liga and you have the Premier League, and then finally you get that UCL matchup that you've been waiting for so long. It brings and draws people in again that might have like a yearning for something that just never occurred. And that magic, I'm always afraid with playing with that magic, you know. That makes me so scared. It's like going back to the whole LTA thing. It's like Europe was very lucky that the legacy strong orgs in G2 and Fnatic stuck around. They stuck around. They were competitive. They made decisions that allowed them to live. We look over in North America. It's like Team Liquid has been a very strong org for a very long time. FlyQuest did like good decisions, but they're fairly recent if you compare to everybody else. But the exit of TSM and COG, like the fans that had, like that were committed to something and were fans of something for a long time, those are the legacy fans. It's like you're not going to get new players in North America to play League because the amount of players that are coming into League of Legends in general is very, very limited. Very, very limited. It's like sometimes it's like an artificial boost when you bring in like a Ludwig or a Moist Critical for Shopify Rebellion, whatever. But even someone like Tyler One has spent the majority of his time playing World of Warcraft recently. It's like how are you going to get the new generation to want to watch LTA, which is close to impossible, and at the same time all the legacy names are no longer there. Anyone that used to watch LTA or LCS in the past, it is not the same. It is so far removed from what it used to be, and I think a big part of that is just the view of North America needing to win internationals and compete internationally. That just skewed like the whole approach. It's like the VC money came in and they thought we can spend money to win a championship now and it's going to pay for itself over time. And I think that just really warped everything in terms of what the identity of the league was. The LCS was so massive because the personalities were so fucking funny. It's like in the beginning you had like the Dignitas team, the TSM team, the COG team. Like these were the top three teams in the region, and then you had Curse like on the come up and so forth. And there was a legacy there. What is the current legacy beyond, let's say, Team Liquid and CoJJ? It's like FlyQuest was doing good, building something. 100 Thieves is a guest team. What are we doing? What are we doing? There's no legacy left. And in the LEC, it's like they're moving in the right direction because it's like Koi is very, very keen on making the most out of the business opportunity. Casey as well, like their decisions are paying off. They bring in Kalis, Vladi. They have like a methodology in terms of their approach. They're bringing in like strong partners to the league. What are the strong partners that want to participate in LTA? It just seems like almost poisoned in terms of an investment and in terms of how they are running things too. I think that Riot is also signaling as well to everybody that it is poison too in terms of how they make decisions.
There was actually also, what's amazing to me is I agree with you definitely on the fan thing. There aren't any fans like that around. It's one of the reasons why Reddit is sort of dead nowadays. It's just like the same, like 300 people just posting increasingly more unhinged takes about everything. Like there isn't the League of Legends subreddit, guys, used to literally sometimes be like the third biggest subreddit on all of Reddit itself. It had insane impact on traffic. If you ever got your video onto the front page in the top 5, you get like 100k views. You get like 2k views extra or something from it. Now it's nothing. Like people are there just to have a weird little anorak conversation with each other about increasingly weird things. The old school fans, which are, by the way, are the not ultras. They're just the normal common and garden guy who's like, hey, I just support CLG. I hope fucking Hotshot does a good job this year. Those people are gone, mate. They're all older, they've got jobs, or they've just moved, by the way, or they've moved on to other esports. Maybe they watch CS or Valorant now, or TFT, or fucking Rocket League, whatever it is, they've gone. And the reason why I can tell you that as well is, bro, it wasn't even that long ago. If you think during like the TL dynasty, like 2018, 2019, I went over there one time. I forget exactly why I was there. Maybe it was to do like see Monty do Overwatch League or something. I forget. I went to LA at some point in like, I looked it up in 2019, and me and Monty, because we were in LA and that's where he lived, just to say fuck it, we went down to a day to the LCS unannounced. We just went down, we went in there. By the way, in real life, the people who are the Riot people, obviously it's not Mark Merrill at the fucking door, is it? Like, turn him away. Like, it's all just the people who are just the chill people who work for Riot. They were even all being super nice to us. Like, hey, we can come back here. You can come back into the team room and talk to your friend or whatever who's a pro player and all that jazz. And when we were at this venue, the joke is, you'd never think this from Reddit, but like, mate, loads of fans just kept coming up to us all the time. Can I get a signature? Can I get a photo with Monty? So, hey, I love the shorts. They had like a super like positive, vibrant fan base of people who were coming every week and bringing signs. And they used to do that little like sort of tailgate thing outside where you buy the merch, you take pictures with the teams. It's actually one of the reasons why I always thought it was fucked up when teams who were big would lose and then go, no media. It's like, oh, fuck off, mate. That's half. They're the people who make your sport live. Like, you go and do that because that's half of your job. What do you mean you don't feel like taking that? Well, that case, don't feel like cashing the fucking check at the end of the month. Like, that is the people who make the LCS live and breathe. Those people I don't think exist anymore, mate. I mean, nowadays there's a reason why, like, we're traveling to bloody Brazil to do a live event. Like, it's just done. It's cooked in North America. It's just cooked. Even though, sadly, as we talked about with the teams, still some all right teams. I do think they're not world class. I think they're still living on a fantasy that, like, oh, but we almost did well at it. And I told you, get almost the fuck out of conversations. Like, tell me what you did, motherfucker. Oh, my aunt almost had balls and was my uncle, but thankfully, that almost doesn't count for shit. And I can still kiss her on the cheek. I don't know what that means. That was some sort of like weird sort of, boomerism on that one. It's all good.
Oh, the TSM chants, although annoying when they slowly died out in crowds all over the world.
That actually tells you how fucked they were. TSM chants as a joke were still done until the modern day. There are real teams that won the LCS don't get chants. Like, that's all you need to know right there, mate. TSM wasn't even there. People were still doing it as a meme. Like, that was actual cultural impact. By the way, I do think, unironically, now, it wasn't because they were smart, because they had no money left. You might, or supposedly from some dickhead guy on Twitter now, he used to work for TSM. They have like 6 employees in the whole company at this point in time, he claims. Right? People have to realize, I do think if you go and look when TSM left the LCS, that was the beginning of the end, mate. TSM's leaving. Bro, that's like if one day, on the same day, like 10, 15 years ago, in the WWE, they were like, oh, bad news. The Rock, fucking Triple H, who else am I going to put in here? The Undertaker. They're all just leaving tomorrow. It's like, fucking turn the lights off then, mate. Like, those are the superstars. That's the people I'm putting all the fucking fights at WrestleMania around, SummerSlam and all that shit. Like, I can have one go. If anything, say, I can't have the main one go and I can't have them all leave. Like, as soon as TSM left in that sense, like, mate, that was the beginning of the end. That's what you call the writing on the wall. You could see which way this was headed. It wasn't going to turn around because some influencer was like, I'm part of Shopify Rebellion now. Like, that ain't enough, mate. That ain't enough. And I'm just going to say this as well. This is also a thing that's been underestimated. This is why getting propped up by core streamers was a short-term, I would say it was a short-term, like, it was almost placebo effect, because it worked in the short term and it made you think this is the cure. But the reason why it wasn't the cure in the long run is because, bro, those people don't even watch. So you're going to tell me Moist Critical and Ludwig, people who own part of Shopify Rebellion, well, when they turn their streams on, why isn't the viewership like 500k? Those guys can get enormous viewership. Bro, even their fans don't fucking watch. Like, no one does. It's just that kind of thing was that it works for novelty value and then it falls away as the problem. That's not a long-term strategy. And if you know anything about Valorant, if people like Tarek just don't turn their stream on, your event's like half as successful, but you did everything else the same exact way. Like, that's not a business model. It's not the Tarek fucking VCT. It's supposed to be VCT with Tarek involved if he wants to be. Like, that can't be the load-bearing pillar below the entire equation, or we're fucked. The house is going to fall down.
I do think though that in general it has just moved in that direction. It's just like a personality economy almost, and I think that the LEC is very lucky that it's like Kameto, Ibai, Keiju. It's like the biggest streamers in the category are just there, and actively they are like if Koi and KC didn't make a competitive team this year, next year too, it's like the spark would die, the spark would die and the hype would die and it just wouldn't work. Like Shopify Rebellion, this partnership they did with Ludwig and Moist, it's very obvious that they're not in it. No, they don't give a fuck about the game. They didn't continue co-streaming or were involved at some point. It's very, very artificial. It needed to be very, like the interest needed to come from the purest like the purest form of it, because it's like, I know Kameto, he wants to fucking compete. Like he fucking was in pain when we were losing, right? He wants to fucking compete. Ibai is clearly really, really fucking competitive too, and like that part of it matters. It's like this is like the new generation of what PSM and COG used to be, because that rivalry was just insane. Like Hocho GG versus Reginald was like one of the most hyped things ever. Like COG versus TSM, like all the signings they would make. It's like when Reginald retired and they put in Bjergsen, it's like it was a fucking event. It was an event every time. And the G2 Fnatic, they kept on. It's like that matchup is exciting to this day. Sure, it's like G2 is winning a lot of those, but it's like now we have Koi and Casey, and now we're just in a position where you really, really just need to have the right people. And I think LEC is super, super lucky for that, because those guys don't exist in North America anymore.
See more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or, you know, be a pleb and don't.